Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
An independent review has called for sweeping changes in the way deaths and serious incidents in custody are handled in England and Wales. And it's highlighted the fact that there's never been a successful prosecution for death in custody, despite coroners' verdicts of unlawful killing. It says former police officers should no longer be allowed to lead investigations in custody deaths, and calls for a national coroner service to address inconsistencies in approach. Elaine Dunkley reports.
No peace! No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
They are the families whose loved ones have died in police custody. Many say they are caught in a system where the truth is hard to find. Fighting against costly court cases, long inquests and investigations. In 2008, Sean Rigg, who had mental health problems, died in police custody. CCTV shows him lying unresponsive on the floor at Brixton Police Station.
We look far and wide for answers.
As yet, no one has been prosecuted for his death. His sister Marcy says there has been no justice for her family and many others.
When somebody dies in police custody, for instance, it's one thing having to deal with the death. It's the battlefield afterwards that you just can't find out actually what happened to them. Why have they got these injuries? Where did these injuries come from? And they always seem to blame the person that died. When I first saw my brother, I fainted. But all I can say, it's one of the most painful things that I've ever had to do.
Others share that pain. In June 2010, James Herbert also died in police custody. He too had a history of mental illness.
The police forces will get, at taxpayers' expense, the legal representation that they require. You've lost somebody, you know, that you love very much, and you are then put into a situation where you have to beg, in effect, and grovel to get funding to actually get a fair hearing at the inquest.
Today's review acknowledges that people suffering from a mental health crisis, particularly those from a black, Asian and ethnic minority background, are more likely to die in police custody due to the prolonged use of restraint. More than 100 recommendations have been made, which include holding police to account at an individual and corporate level if restraint is excessive, unnecessary or disproportionate. No conferring on initial accounts among police officers involved in a death in custody, and free legal advice for families.
I think this report is a story of system failure over many years, and that's why the Prime Minister, Theresa May, commissioned it after she'd met the families, and having met families myself with the Home Secretary, I share the view that this has got to lead to profound change.
My brother was killed during a mental health crisis.
These families have fought for answers and have campaigned for change. Today's review is about the lessons that need to be learned from the deaths of their loved ones. But its worth will be tested by how widely it will be implemented. Elaine Dunkley, BBC News.
Now, a landmark review into deaths in police custody has made more than 100 recommendations for sweeping changes, including phasing out former police officers from leading investigations and legal aid for bereaved families. The Home Secretary, Amber Rudd, said the government was committed to learning lessons, as the review's author warned against kicking the report into the long grass. Here's our senior Home Affairs correspondent, Simon Israel.
The last 15 years has seen case after case, death after death, campaign after campaign. The headline from today's review is the state's failing to learn lessons. There's been no successful prosecution for any death in custody.
Thank you very much.
The review's author urges the authorities to take responsibility and treat these cases as they would a murder.
So if you look at homicide investigations, it's not one person investigating a homicide. The whole resources of the state go into these cases. They're deluxe in the way in which they're funded compared to other types of crime. There is no reason why the state should not be doing that for these deaths.
Leon Briggs died in 2013 in Luton Police Station after suffering a psychotic episode.
That must be quite hard.
His mother has been waiting 4 years for answers. There have been no charges, no misconduct, no inquest, no decision on anything, while 5 officers remain suspended.
At the moment, I can't get on with my life. I can't do anything because I'm thinking of the day you know, or the year when they're going to end all of this and tell me what they've decided, the CPS decided to happen. Even though it's 4 years and it's hard every day, but if I didn't do everything I can to help Leon's case, I don't think I could live with myself.
Margaret Briggs is trapped in time.
No peace! No justice!
There's a rare outing to the annual march by families who, like her, have all suffered the loss of a loved one at the hands of the state. Among the 110 recommendations are automatic legal aid for families, no conferring among officers after a death, and the phasing out of ex-police officers as lead investigators on such cases.
I hope that the future is one in which families feel that the IPCC process, the process of investigation, is more sensitive to them, is faster, and is genuinely independent of the police.
There's so many reports and stuff.
Tell that to Marcia Rigg. She's been the driving force behind the long campaign for all families. Her brother Sean died while under restraint inside Brixton Police Station. That was 9 years ago, and the case is by no means over.
What's the last 9 years done to you?
It's changed my life completely. It's been very stressful and traumatic behind closed doors, and my life journey has changed in terms of trying to get justice, not just for my family but for others.
No justice! No peace!
Today's long-delayed report offers these families at the very least hope, but the government response has been described as a bit yes minister. Even the woman who carried out the review is sceptical.
The challenge for the government is ensuring that this just doesn't get kicked into the long grass, because there's some very fine reports, I refer to them in my report, with fabulous recommendations which, had they been implemented, we would not see some of the deaths that are occurring over the last few years.
Buried in the government's response is talk of changing institutional behaviour, of offering an early apology, of public authorities admitting failings and accepting improvements that could avoid deaths. Those reforms, if realised, may go some way to delivering the justice these families are spending their lives searching for.
Simon Israel reporting there.